QuickBooks can't be the only option for accounting, right? In this video, I'm going to go over 5 different programs that you could use to track your author income and expenses other than QuickBooks. I know how it is. You finally decided you're going to treat yourself like a real author or a real business person, and so you sign up for QuickBooks. You get it all set up and you're pretty optimistic about it, but then time goes on and you forget to look at it, or you get into it and you see all these pop-ups and bells and whistles and everything else that you're not even using, and then a few months later, that free trial or that promo period ends and you start paying full price for it. And then you realize this really isn't worth it for what you need. It's way overkill and you're not even using it. So you go back to using spreadsheets, but then you remember you're not an accountant and you really kind of hate it. So you need another option. You need a way to make sure that you're tracking your income and expenses throughout the year so that at the very least, you know what to put on a tax return whenever it comes time. And maybe you can actually have some insights into whether or not you're making money. And so you want something that's not QuickBooks with all the bells and whistles and all the pop-ups and the high price, but you don't want to have to do this yourself in Excel. So let me go over 5 different options, some better than others, some more expensive than others. At the end of the day, it's really going to be about what fits your personality, the way that you work, and what you're looking for. Keep in mind, in general, the more expensive the option, the less work it should be on you. You should only be paying more for something if it's saving you more time. And the opposite's true too. The cheaper the option, usually the more work it's going to take on you. So keep that in mind as we go through these options. Now, as we get into these, I want to point out that I am not affiliated or get referral fees for recommending any of these. I'm sure if I dig down, I could probably find a referral link somewhere, but I'm not going to give you those. I'm just going to give you the links to the actual sites. I don't want it to seem like I'm pushing one over the other just because I get something in return for it. So these are just my real opinions on each of these platforms. So the first one that I'd like to talk about is Xero. Now, Xero is not one that I would actually recommend to a lot of people just because it's a different way of thinking and it's probably actually more than you need even for your author business, but I have to mention it because it is really well known. It's probably the oldest contender to QuickBooks that's out there. It started outside of the US, but now it's recognized all over the US. Pretty much any accountant who isn't going to support QuickBooks is going to support Xero. It's just kind of the big name there. It's like iPhone versus Android, QuickBooks versus Xero. So in Xero, you can see that you do things a little bit similar in QuickBooks where it downloads your bank transactions and you can match them up with different things that's already in your bookkeeping. Here's where it gets a little bit different though. In QuickBooks, if you've ever used it before, you'll remember how it shows like a list of the transactions is downloaded from the bank, and then you assign the different categories to each transaction. You say this was from Amazon, it was for this was to Best Buy, it was for that. Xero can do that, but it looks a little bit different. I do want to point out this is a demo company. I'm not showing you anybody's real data. But what Xero does is it shows you the bank statement lines that it found from your online banking. So this transaction was a deposit from City Limousines on January 15th, and this was a check number this for that much. And that's all the information it has from the bank. Now, what Xero will try to do is say, does this match something in Xero already? Well, in Xero, it found this payment that matched the dollar amount. It was around the same date. And so it thinks that you should match it and you would just click OK and those two would be matched. Or if it's not sure what it is, you can always create something. So in this case, this was a deposit received from Ridgeway University. So you could create it and say, this is who it was from. This is what it was for. You could put a description and then you could create that. Or if you're not sure, you can say, I just like to discuss, and you put a note here. And I'm not sure who sees that or why it's there, but it is there. So it's more chord-based, more so than line item-based. It kind of makes it look a little bit cluttered here. And I can see where that would become really overwhelming if you're doing several months at once. But it is there. I do want to point it out. Pricing for Xero is typically better than QuickBooks. I always ignore these introductory prices because who cares what you get for the first 6 months? This is going to be something that hopefully you keep for a long time. So you always want to look at the actual price here. $25 a month for the lowest version, $55 a month for growing, $90 a month for established. This is better pricing than QuickBooks, but not by a whole lot anymore. So Xero is getting up there along with QuickBooks. So that is option 1. That's not QuickBooks, is Xero, Xero. The next one I want to talk about is called YNAB, YNAB, and it stands for You Need a Budget. This one's really interesting. This is actually personal budgeting software, but you can use it for your business and you can use it for tracking transactions. I'm going to show you a little bit of a walkthrough of this, but I'm probably going to do a full deep dive walkthrough of YNAB in a later video if y'all want that. But I just want to show you the homepage here. You can see all the little promo stuff about it. Pricing, I want to say it's like $15 a month. There's only one package. There's only one thing. If you pay annually, it's $9 a month. If you pay monthly, it's $15 a month. You can get 34 days for free. They want you to be able to try it for just over a month, so you can see what it looks like to plan out a whole month. So what I have here is a test budget in YNAB. So think of YNAB as two different sides of your business. On one side, you have the tracking of expenses, and that's what this side is. This is where you put in all your transactions or link it to your online banking so that it downloads those transactions. And then your plan, which is your budget. So first, let me show you this side. This is where you would track your transactions. So if you're wanting to just have your income and expenses tracked for tax purposes, this is the side that you would look at. So you could add transactions manually. I'm going to go in here and do that so I have some things to play with. Let's say you got royalty income from Amazon of $5,000. Let's say you spent about $150 on supplies, and I don't know. Let's make up one more thing just to have it. American Airlines, you can create a new payee just like that. Call it travel, and we'll say $600. So money in, money out. It is actually not showing these in the balance because I put these for a future date. I was wanting to show a fresh month and I went and messed myself up. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter now on these, and it should, yeah. So now we have a balance here. Now we're saying that we have this balance. And if we got a bank statement in and we wanted to reconcile, we'd click reconcile, and it would say, is your current balance zero? We'd say no, or we'd say yes. And then we would say it all looks good, right? So we would have these transactions going through to your plan. Your plan is where you assign the money. So the amount that you have available to assign comes from the transactions. You have it up here. You would go in and say, well, how am I going to show this money? I want to have, let's say $500 a month for rent. Let's say I'm going to have $750 a month for payroll. Let's say I'm doing profit first. So maybe you have percentages here. You could use it to allocate those. I'm not going to get deep into that in this video. Let's say your software expenses are $25 a month and chamber dues are $75. I don't know, I'm just making things up. Just going to put a bunch of things in here. So I have now assigned more than I had available to assign. I would have to figure out how I'm going to fix that. This is essentially how YNAB works. You assign money, and then as you use that money, you can see where it comes out of the categories that we've assigned. And the dates that I used were weird, so don't pay any attention to that. But it'll show you when you've overspent or when you still have money left. If I had assigned, say, $750 here, then you'd see I have $150 left to spend. So that's the way YNAB works. Then if you want to see a report for tax purposes, you just go over to Reflect. It shows you your income and expenses. It shows it to you by month. And so you can use that to prepare your taxes if you need to. Pretty straightforward. This is really more beneficial if you really do want to budget. If all you want to do is track your income and expenses, the budgeting part of YNAB is going to get weird. It's going to not be used and you're going to get overwhelmed. So I really only recommend this if you really do want to budget your money and kind of plan where you're going to spend it in the months to come. YNAB is really great for that. But if all you wanted to do is track your income and expenses, I don't think YNAB is going to be a good fit. So that is YNAB. Next up is Wave. Wave can be free. So I think the pricing on Wave is it starts free, and basically you only pay if you're using it to send invoices and receive payments and stuff like that. Or there is a pro plan that I'm not even sure what it includes because I've never seen it before. Wave, I want to say it was bought by H&R Block, and it's very okay accounting software. You kind of get what you pay for. I don't have a demo company to show with Wave, and so I have to just show you what they have on their side. But you can see on their little screenshot here where it's kind of like you'd expect. It lists transactions. These get downloaded from your bank. You categorize them with what you think it's going to be, and then you can mark it off as verified or checked. I'm not quite sure about the difference between you selecting a category and then you putting a check mark to verify it. I think you have to actually select the category and then verify it. It will also try to download or guess the information based on how you've categorized things in the past. And then it'll ask you to verify those. Now, the thing that I like about Wave is also the thing that I don't like about Wave, is that you can see all the transactions from all your accounts all on the same screen. That can be a good thing instead of having to click through every single transaction or every single bank to see the transactions, especially when you have transfers. Like in QuickBooks, if you have transfers between bank accounts and you need to verify that what hit this bank account also hit that bank account, you have to go in to the little bank thing and find that bank card and then go find that transaction and then go back and forth. And it can be really tedious. But in Wave, you can see all your transactions from all your bank accounts, all listed how you want. You can sort them how you want. You can filter them how you want. That can be really good for being able to see exactly everything that hit every bank account at once. The bad thing is that can also get really overwhelming really quickly, especially if you have a lot of bank accounts. Also, if you record transfers between bank accounts in Wave and you're looking at all the accounts, it can get real trippy really fast. Like it'll start creating the other side of that transfer, even though it might already exist. Then you have to review it. And if you do it the wrong way, it will duplicate those transactions. It can get real weird really quickly. You also have to make sure that you are reconciling your bank account using Wave, because it's really easy with this software, in my experience, to miss things or double count things. So if you're looking for a free version of accounting software that'll download your bank transactions and let you categorize them, Wave might be a good choice, especially if you only have one, maybe two bank accounts. But if you're doing profit first and you're juggling 4 or 5 different bank accounts, I can see where this would get overwhelming really, really quickly. So Wave Accounting looks like it's waveapps.com. You check that out too. We are getting close to the end, so hang in there. We only have 2 left to go through. This one is called Kick. Now, I've seen Kick once in the wild, and I wasn't blown away by it. However, I've been hearing more and more and more about Kick over the last few months. I think they're doing a huge investment into their business, and they may be a pretty big contender to QuickBooks in the near future. Again, I don't have like a demo company to show, so I can only show you what's on their home screen. But we can look at pricing real quick. So the pricing for Kick, it starts free. You have a profit and loss, auto categorization, receipt matching, basic integrations, but it's limited to annual business expenses of $25,000, which I find interesting. Like, I don't know how that's going to work, or is it going to shut off if you try and record expenses over $25,000? I've never seen that before, so that's kind of interesting. Basic plan is $35 a month. If you do annual payments, I don't see where you can even choose monthly payments, so keep that in mind. You're kind of locked in for the year. And then the plus plan is $125 a month and so on, but that one's billed quarterly. So lots of weird things going on with the pricing here. It does appear to be more affordable than QuickBooks though, but you are locked in for a year if you choose this basic plan. But if you are just starting out and you have less than $25,000 of expenses in your business, you can start with the free plan and just see how it works. Now, what Kick is doing is they are doing a whole lot of automations and AI in their accounting. I haven't seen the AI work yet, so I don't know if it works really well. I have heard from other authors that it gets a little bit overwhelming, especially if you're not if you don't understand how to set it up, or if you're not kind of into automations and AI and things like that. It could really easily get out of hand where you're not sure where your transactions went. But if you like that kind of thing, that is their big thing, is self-driving bookkeeping. That's what they're trying to get at here. One of the things I noticed whenever I used Kick with another client was that you can have multiple entities at certain plan levels, where you can say, well, I have my personal, or I have my business, or I have my side business, or whatever. And so if you're transferring money between entities, then it can handle that, I think, pretty well for you. I don't think it has too many other bells and whistles. You can see everything's kind of just white screen, black text, a few little colors here and there. They don't have a whole lot of charts and graphs. So it could just be a plain vanilla, we're just going to do your bookkeeping software. It's probably the one that I am most interested in seeing how it goes. Kick, I actually have a demo scheduled with them in the coming weeks to see what they've done and to see if this would be a good option. Yeah, you can see here they've raised all kinds of money to try to compete with QuickBooks, honestly. So check out Kick if you want something that's a little more AI driven and robot driven, See if that works for you. Last one, this one is called Digits. This is almost a booby prize. Like, I just wanted to show you this to show you what's going on in the accounting space. I tried Digits. I had a couple of clients on it. I tried it for myself. I cannot recommend Digits yet, but I just wanted to show you in case if you're into this kind of thing. So Digits started out as just an overlay for QuickBooks. If you had QuickBooks, you could connect your Digits account to it. And I actually think you can still do that. You can connect your Digits account to QuickBooks. And it's going to pull the data from QuickBooks and just make these really pretty charts and graphs. I actually really liked their charts and graphs that they did. They looked really nice. They did some cash flow forecasting that was good. It was good. It was a good platform. Then they built their own ledger. So in other words, their own platform where you can do your income and expenses and download stuff from the bank. I was very intrigued by that. I was not impressed with the application of it though. So this is what Digits does. Digits gets everything from your online banking. It tries to record all your transactions for you. It does not give you an opportunity to really review those. Now, maybe this has changed since the last time that I did it, but whenever I did it, it basically just recorded everything and said, trust me, I'm sure it's right. But when I went through it, it was not right, especially with transfers. You know, we're doing the profit first system. And so we have a lot of transfers back and forth. And if it had a transfer into a bank account, a lot of times it was treating that as revenue. And if it had a transfer out, it might've been treating that as like a distribution. Well, if you do that on your tax return, you're going to pay more taxes than you need to. So I wasn't impressed with Digits and the way that it just recorded things. And then the only way for me to go and check the things that it did was to literally go through every single account every month to find out what it did and then try to change it if it did it wrong. They may have had some updates since I used it. That was a few months ago. So I don't want to go say it's terrible just because I used it once and didn't like it. The only reason I would say I don't recommend this right now is because I don't know if the software or the technology is there yet for it to really make sense. And it is not cheap at all. They have the starter version of $35 a month. It does your bookkeeping for you. It doesn't exist yet. It says coming soon. The only option you have is $100 a month and you get all this stuff that you may or may not need. And I can't guarantee that it actually works. So the cost of it alone just puts it out of even being a contender for a lot of people. If you're going to pay that much, I just suggest getting QuickBooks, ignore all the stuff you get with QuickBooks that you don't need, and just do their little AI bookkeeping stuff that QuickBooks is also rolling out. But I'm going to show you Digits because it does exist. It is an option. I'm just not convinced yet that it's ready to be used widely, especially not at that price. So it's here. It exists. There is a ton of other software out there that's coming after QuickBooks because they recognize that everyone is frustrated with QuickBooks, and especially with AI, there's just more opportunity out there. So I'm going to keep an eye on these things to see what makes sense. Okay, so if I had to guess, right now you're saying, great, now I'm more confused than ever. Now I have more options than I know what to do with, and I still don't know what to do. So thanks, Seth. But here's the thing. Let me help you with this. There are a lot of options out there. And you have to remember that the more expensive something is, usually the less work is going to be, but that's not always the case. You also have to consider the way that you work and what you actually need out of your accounting software. So I'm going to give you a simple roadmap to follow. If I'm going to recommend any of these options, here's how I would do it. If you're looking for budgeting, you want to look at something forward-looking, you want to allocate your money into envelopes and really make sure that you're only spending money on certain things before it happens, then YNAB is the best option for you. You can also use it for tracking your income and expenses, and you can use the reports that you get for doing your taxes. So check out YNAB if you want forward-looking stuff. Above YNAB, just one step up from that, if you don't really care about the forward-looking stuff and you really just want to track your income and expenses and you don't care about the AI and the robots and all that, then I would check out Wave. You can get it for free. You can track your income and expenses. Just be careful making sure that you actually have all your transactions recorded properly and that you're not duplicating anything in there. But it's going to be your most probably straightforward option of all the other ones if that's all you wanted to do is just track stuff for income and expenses. After that, if you like the AI stuff, if you like all the automations and you like the computerized stuff, check out Kick. Once you get it set up, it's supposed to run pretty automatically. I can't attest to that, but that's the idea behind it. And I do think that it is going to continue to grow as a contender to QuickBooks. So if you like AI, check out Kick. If you're looking for a full-fledged alternative to QuickBooks, then Xero is your option there. It is way different from QuickBooks, but it's going to be the thing that offers probably the most similar features to QuickBooks for a slightly better price than QuickBooks. It's also going to be the thing that's supported by the most accountants second to QuickBooks. So if you're looking again for full-fledged accounting software that's been around forever, look at Xero. And don't even look at digits. I mean, I guess if you want to spend more money than you should and you don't want your books to be right, you can look at digits. I say that tongue in cheek. I don't mean to like throw shade or anything. I just didn't have a good experience with it. It could have gotten a lot better in the time that I looked at it to now. So I don't want to do that, but check out digits. If you have a budget to spend and you really like the automation stuff, I guess you could check that out. And if all that's still really overwhelming and you don't want to do it yourself and you don't want to use a pen and paper, but you really need to track, then outsource that thing. Find a bookkeeper that you trust. Reach out to me if you want to know like what our prices would be for you. We can help you out with your bookkeeping too. If you want a personalized recommendation for software based on your specific needs, I'm going to put a link in the description to our website. If you go to there, you'll find a contact form. Just reach out on the contact form, say that you saw this video and that you would like a personalized recommendation for bookkeeping software for your business. I'll ask you some questions and then I'll give you my recommendation specifically for you. So links to all these options are down in the description, as well as the link to that contact form. And that should do it for this. I hope this was helpful and not too overwhelming. I will see you next time.